What's going on, Dolphins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here today. This is going to be my Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins preview video for the game that is obviously happening tomorrow. It's going to be in New Era Field, so it's an away game for us. It's a home game for the Bills. As we already know, which is unfortunate and definitely gives them a bit of an edge, and certainly is going to play into my prediction. I think I'm going to get a little bit more specific with my prediction today, and potentially even going forward, we'll see. But before I get into like league standings and statistics and, you know, how each team did in their previous game, blah, 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 let me go ahead with the injury report so we can get an idea of how we're looking. We already know that we've got a ton of guys banged up, right? But we also already know that there's a few guys that are already ruled out for the game even before we get to the inactives. And well, so, you know, there's three guys that are ruled out: center Daniel Kilgore, safety Rashad Jones, and defensive end Avery Moss, which are big hits, man. All of those huge hits. Our offensive line is just absolutely garbage to begin with, and the offense is just terrible. And now we lose our center. He's literally the most experienced, the most productive, so on and so forth, the best leader we have on that line. He's the best lineman that we have at this moment, Daniel Kilgore, and so he's not in there anymore. So that's massive. That's going to be huge for our offense and is going to play massively into it. Also, our defense is taking two pretty big hits without having Rashad Jones and Avery Moss in. Now, so that's going to be half of our inactives. Unfortunately, I think, you know, some of the other inactives could end up being pretty big, important names as well. I think Xavier Howard and Jakeem Grant potentially could end up being guys that are not in, because they have the worst injury designations and, well, for other reasons. Anyway, so, you know, the three players were ruled out Friday when the team released its final injury report: Kilgore with a knee, Jones with a chest, and Moss with an ankle. None of them practiced all week. So that was, you know, we kind of foresaw that. Cornerback Xavier Howard with a knee and wide receiver Jakeem Grant with a hamstring, who both missed the Washington game, were the only players listed as questionable. They were limited in practice all week. And so none of the other 8 players listed on the injury report this week had a game status designation, meaning they'll all be available. Those 8 were guard tackle Jesse Davis, defensive end Charles Harris, linebacker Trent Harris, cornerback Chris Lemons or Lemons, whatever, safety Bobby McCain, quarterback Josh Rosen, running back Mark Walton, and wide receiver Albert Wilson. Let's note, though, Mark Walton is on there for a thumb. And they started using that as an excuse as to why he wasn't in the game and Drake was. I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you. I think that they put Drake in there because he never practiced it. And they wanted to try and help ensure that it had the worst odds of success. Anyway, Buffalo listed 3 players as questionable: cornerback Taron Johnson with a hamstring, linebacker Matt Milano with a hamstring, and linebacker Corey Thompson with an ankle. So a couple of their linebackers and a cornerback, but for the most part, the Bills are pretty damn healthy going into this game. After all, they are just coming off their bye. They did have an opportunity to rest, so that's also going to be a disadvantage for us. So, I mean, at this point, we have the fact that we play in New Era Field, so it's a home game for them. That's a disadvantage. We have a disadvantage in the injury department because they're pretty much healthy, and we're pretty much not. So major difference there. As well, right? So like all of those guys though that you know, they didn't have designations, which is good because one, they'll be available. Two, theoretically at least, that means that they are making positive progress in their injuries, because otherwise you would still probably list them as, you know, questionable or whatever. At least in theory, and I would think, I don't know, you know, whatever. Like I said, the Bobby McCain shoulder injury really concerns me. And I feel like there's a high probability that at some point he ends up on injured reserve. You know, because, I mean, there was already talks about, you know, whether or not he might have to have surgery. They said no, but if he keeps playing on it, and we saw, you know, Rashad Jones has had surgery on both of his shoulders, so, you know, we'll see. And unfortunately, there is potential that Xavier Howard and Jakeem Grant, the only other two guys listed on the report as questionable, could be out. You know, Xavier Howard with that knee, and I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the inactives play. I don't want to speculate too much on that. We already know half of them: Avery Moss, Rashad Jones, and Daniel Kilgore. So, but those are three pretty big hits going into this game. So, you know, disadvantage in a couple areas. Also, I mean, we're just the far less talented team. I mean, we're 0-5, they're 4-1, right? And so, you know, the Buffalo Bills, man, they're a really good team. And they're a really good team this year. Their defense is their strong suit for sure. Man, but their offense is nothing to scoff at, right? And the reason why they haven't put up a lot of points is, one, because Josh Allen is still, you know, in his second year. He's getting things filled out, you know. They don't really have any, like, super major superstars on the offense. I mean, they do obviously have Frank Gore, TJ Yeldon's good, Duke Williams, I think it is. They have a few guys for sure, but nobody who's like superstar status. And, you know, their offensive line still could use some work, right? So real quick, just to note, there was some article that I read that, you know, was trying to defend this whole tank job by saying that, yeah, you know, they can go and they can get Tua Tagovailoa in the next draft. They can get one offensive lineman, and then they can get two really high priced free agent offensive linemen in free agency, because that's what the Bills did. Yeah, but their offensive line isn't even, you know, that spectacular, because Josh Allen, you know, he's been sacked and he's been under duress a bit. But also, let's note though that they've also played some phenomenal defenses, like New England's defense, and like last week they played against the Titans, who have a really good suffocating defense as well. So, I mean, you know, they've played some really good defenses, and that's why, you know, they haven't scored a lot of points in some of these games, you know, and what have you. But, you know, honestly, their offense as far as, so this will be a good way to segue over into league standings, because, you know, their offense, where they rank is kind of like all over the place, right? On defense, across the board, they're top 10 in most categories, top 5 offense. Defense. You know, but the lowest that they do rank in any category on offense is points. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they've played some really suffocating defenses to this point, which plays a major part in it. So they didn't score a lot of points in a couple games, which drags down their average. And then, you know, obviously, like I said, Josh Allen is still kind of coming into his own. The offensive line is good for sure, but they're not the greatest. They still, you know, give up some pressures and stuff here and there. And then, you know, it's the weapons, the playmakers, right? So like Frank Gore is the most notable one, you know, in that lineup. They have some decent receivers, and they also have TJ Yeldon, which is a good dual threat back. And then, you know, obviously Josh Allen is a threat with his legs, but, you know, they're kind of like superstar lists. So they're still working on that. They're still, and you know, also I found it kind of weird that they traded, especially considering that they traded Zay Jones away. I forgot where he went. They're one of their, you know, receivers, but, you know, whatever, because they're still doing well. Here's the thing though, right? I think that in this game, the defense, their defense, I hate to say this, but I think they're going to shut us out. I don't think we're going to score, especially with the injuries that we have. I think Fitzpatrick is going to end up having a terrible game because I think he's going to be harassed all day. They're going to shut down our run game. It's going to be pathetic. We're going to get absolutely nothing. And then we're going to be super one-dimensional. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be harassed all day long. They're going to get a bunch of sacks, a bunch of tackles for loss. They'll probably get a couple picks, you know, maybe a fumble. They'll definitely win the turnover battle without question. Rosen will probably end up having to come in at some point in the game because we're either just getting, you know, mopped so bad or because Fitzpatrick gets hurt. And I think that it's going to at least be a mini blowout. I think that their offense is going to have take a step forward because our defense is super weak. You know, they're giving up historically bad numbers, and on top of that, and also we're one game behind a lot of teams as well, and even some of the teams that are technically worse than us right now. Like our pass yards allowed on defense has risen up to 28th in the league because a couple of the teams, and points allowed is 30th instead of 32nd because a couple of those teams have played an additional game than us. So, but anyway, so just, you know, I think that their offense is going to have an uptick in production because our defense is not performing that well. Plus, they're super hurt. And we're already, before the rest of the inactives that we see, we already know that we're down Avery Moss and Rashad Jones on that defense. And then there is potential still that Xavier Howard doesn't play in the game because they want to make sure he doesn't suffer some sort of major knee injury, which on that front is certainly understandable, but that obviously then massively hurts our defense. But even if he does play, then he's gonna one, take a risk of injuring that knee, but also potentially not be at 100%. And so also to the other guys like Bobby McCain in particular on that defense are pretty damn banged up as well. But so is, you know, Chris Lamons and Jamal Wiltz. We just released Johnson Batamosi, right? And picked up some other random corner that's just bounced around the league a bunch, right? So, I mean, our defense, and then of course they're going to end up being on the field for way too long, get super tired, and end up just getting gashed. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into league standings though. I mean, first of all, you know, Dolphins are 0-5, Bills are 4-1. Points per game, we're getting 8.4 points per game, which is 32nd. Buffalo is getting 18, which is 25th. Again, like I said, that is their worst stat across the board anywhere. And I do think that they're going to have a pretty nice uptick. I think they're going to score at least 30 points in this game because I think, as we've seen when we play quality opponents, every single one of them has scored at least 30 points. And I think we'll see that again in this game. Unfortunately, I think we'll also see a goose egg on the board for us in offense. You know, and it's not going to be pretty. That's what, you know, my prediction. Yards per game, we're at 234.2. 31st in the league. They're at 372.4, which is 10th. Passing yards per game, we're at 176, which is 31st. They're at 232.8, which is 19th. Rush yards per game, we're at 58.2, which is 31st. And they're at 139.6, which is 6th in the league. I think that they're going to end up having 200 yards of rushing attack. They're going to have at least 400 yards of total offense. And, you know, like I said, I think they're going to score at least 30 points. I'll get to my score prediction in a bit. Points allowed. So now moving to defensive league statistics or league standings. Points allowed. We've given up 180, also, which is 30th in the league. But again, the other two teams are the two teams that are worse than us, or the team that's in last place, which I think is Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. They've given up 186, but they've also played one more game than us. So, you know, we're still on pace for historically bad numbers. And again, I think that this, because we're not playing a weak opponent like we did last week. That's a major reason why the game was anywhere near as close as it was, that we had a season high 16 points and so on and so forth. Also, you know, it was a bit easier for Ryan Fitzpatrick against a really, you know, tired and weak, you know, Redskins team. It's not going to be the case this week. It's going to be the exact opposite. And last week the Bills didn't perform as well, particularly on offense, because they played a really, really good Titans defense. Anyway, but let's continue on. So we've given up 180 points, which is 30th. The Buffalo Bills have only given up 70. That's less than half of what we've given up in the time frame. And we've played the same amount of games now because they're just coming off of their bye. So they're going to be rested. They have a lot of momentum in their favor. They're going to be ready to go and ready to just hammer on a division opponent. You know, they're competing for the playoffs, so they're going to want to get that divisional opponent win, especially with the Patriots just steamrolling, right? And, you know, fast. They have a super weak schedule going for the rest of this year, dude. There is a massive potential that the Patriots could end up going undefeated, and that would make this season even more miserable. Anyway, yards allowed, we're giving up 439.8, which is 32nd. Again, I think we're going to end up giving up over 400 for sure. I think there is definitely a potential for over 5 if Josh Allen starts lighting it up. I think the run game with Frank Gore leading the way, TJ Yeldon behind him, and Josh Allen throwing in some runs as well. I think that they're gonna accumulate over 200 yards on the ground. I think we're gonna see more of that, unfortunately. But you know, he might just have an average day in the air. But if he does go off, you know, and throw like 300 yards, well then there you go. We're over 500. There is a potential for that, but I think we'll go at least, we'll end up giving up at least 400 yards. The Bills are giving up 275 per game, which is third. And their ranking is third for points allowed as well, with their 70 given up. Pass yards per game, we're giving up 270.2, which is 28th. And they are giving up 187.2, which is third in the league. Rushing yards allowed, we're giving up 169.6, which is 31st in the league, and they are giving up 87.8, which is 7th in the league. We have yet to actually even clear that. The game that we got the closest was this last game where we rushed for 84 yards, but again, against a bad Washington team. All right, so as for the previous games, well, how did we stack up in just a head-to-head there? So we had 271 total yards. They had 313. We had 187 passing. They had 204. We had 84 rushing yards. They had 109. We were 3.9 yards per play. They were at 5. Neither team lost a fumble. We threw 2 interceptions. They threw 1. We were 21% on third down. They were 30. We had the ball for 32-39. They had it for 31-12. We had 5 penalties. They had 11, which is pretty outstanding as well. So, and that's another thing. They really shot themselves in the foot in that game against the Titans. But even still, though, a really good Titans team, and obviously I haven't talked about it really much this season because there's so many other things to talk about, but the officiating is garbage. At this point, it's just assumed and expected, so there's really no reason to talk about it. But anyway, they had 11 penalties, which were just the accepted penalties too, so they shot themselves in the foot a lot and played a fucking great Titans defense. Really good, really good Titans defense. And they still put up, pretty decent numbers, even, despite that. And obviously came out with the win. Okay, so passing statistics. So Ryan Fitzpatrick obviously did play a little bit last game. He's going to be the starter this week. But Josh Rosen obviously started last week. So, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, so for last game, he was 12 of 18 for 66.7% completion percentage, 132 yards with a touchdown and a 106.7 passer rating. Of course, he was only in for like a quarter, and he played against a weak and tired Redskins team. And but on the season, he's 55.7% completion percentage for 435 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a 60.1 passer rating. Just to let you know, Josh Rosen, again, I think that there is a high probability Josh Rosen ends up coming in at some point in this game, either because we're just getting mopped or because Fitzpatrick gets hurt. But anyway, just so you know, his statistics and stuff from last game and overall, he was 15 out of 25 for 60% completion percentage, 85 yards, 2 interceptions, and a 32.9 passer rating. On the season, he's 53.2% completion percentage with 567 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, and 52 passer rating. Josh Allen was 23 for 32 last game, 71.9% completion percentage, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 98.3 passer rating. On the season, he is 62.6% completion percentage, 1,122 yards, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 75.2 passer rating. Again, he's played some really good defenses. Rushing, Kenyon Drake led the way for us, 10 rushes, 40 yards, and a 4 average. Mark Walton had 6 rushes for 32 yards and a 5.3 average. Frank Gore led the way for them, 14 rushes, 60 yards, and a 4.3 average. Josh Allen, 10 rushes, 27 yards, and a 2.7 average. TJ Yeldon had 2 rushes, 15 yards, and a 7.5 average. In the passing game, Mike Gesicki led the way for us, 3 out of 7 for 51 yards. Mark Walton, 5 of 6 for 43. Preston Williams, 2 of 6 for 31. Kenyon Drake, 6 of 9 for 30. Devontae Parker, 3 of 4 for 28 and a score. Alan Hearns, 2 of 2 for 16 yards. Albert Wilson, 5 of 6 for 15 yards. Josh Brown led the way for them, 5 of 5 for 75 yards. Isaiah McKenzie, 2 of 2 for 52 yards. Duke Williams, 4 of 4 for 29 and a score. Cole Beasley, they do have him, 3 of 4 for 21. TJ Yeldon, 4 of 4 for 13. Dawson Knox, 2 of 5 for 12. And Lee Smith, 1 of 1 for 8 yards and a score. Defensive statistics from last game, we didn't have any sacks. We had 2 tackles for loss. 0 forced fumbles, 0 fumble recoveries, 0 interceptions. But we did have 4 passes defensed. Also, the Bills were like the only team to like really keep the New England offense in check this year at this point. So that's also on their resume for this season. But Bills in this last game, they had 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 5 passes defensed. Bruh. Okay, so this is gonna be a brutal game. Like I said, I think that they're gonna easily win the turnover battle. They'll probably end up getting at least like 2 interceptions. They're gonna run for at least 200 yards cumulatively between Frank Gore, Josh Allen, and TJ Yeldon, I believe. They do have some nice weapons in the offense. Our defense is banged up and not very good. I think that they're going to run all over us the entire game. And score-wise, and then I don't think that our offense is going to do anything against this super strong Buffalo defense. So what do I think score is going to be? Like I said, I also think that they're going to end up scoring at least 30 points, and I think we're going to end up having a goose egg. I hate to say that, I really do, and God, I hope that they can surprise me in some way, shape, or form. At the very least, like, get a fucking field goal and, you know, prevent a goose egg, and a complete shutout would be fabulous. But, you know, Jason Sanders has missed some shit on the season too as well. So that's not, you know, exactly flawless either. And if Jakeem Grant is out, then our special teams gets, you know, pretty affected again. And Johnson Batamosi was, you know, a primary special teams player. So they just released him. Anyway, I'm going to go with like 35-0. God, I hate saying that, man. But I mean, look, if I'm just keeping it real, you know, and going based off of the statistics and the data and the information, it's a home game for them. They're coming off a bye. We suck. Intentionally suck. We're super banged up. We'll probably end up getting even more hurt in this game. I think that they're going to gash our defense left and right, and they're going to shut down our offense. So, you know, I think that they're going to score like, you know, it'll be like 35-0. They'll get like 2, you know, rushing touchdowns while they run up, you know. Actually, you know what? Here's what. They'll get 2 rushing touchdowns, either from Gore or Yeldon. They'll also get 1 rushing touchdown from Josh Allen. And they'll get 2 passing touchdowns from Josh Allen. There you go. Anyway, to get to 35 points. Yeah, so that's that. It's super unfortunate. I hate to say that, but I gotta keep it real with you guys. I mean, I honestly don't even think that there's any chance that we keep it close or anything like that, because our defense is not good and they are super banged up. Our offense is not good and they're pretty banged up. I mean, what else is there to say? And this Buffalo Bills team is not the Redskins. They're not the Bengals. They are a good fucking team. Coming off a bye, super healthy, and got a ton of momentum. I mean, it's gonna be a nightmare, unfortunately. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoy my videos. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts, make sure you share it around with your friends and family. Also, leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.